Audience, Salamu Alaikum. The Ontario 2022 general election will be held June 2nd, which is tomorrow, to elect Member of Parliament for this great province to serve in the 43rd Parliament of Ontario. This is one of the most important elections for every Ontarian because of many issues around healthcare, education, affordability, Northern Ontario, jobs, etc. Canar TV, the Arab Voice from Canada, have sent equal invitation for candidates from different parties, including Liberal, NDP, and the Conservatives, to interview them and introduce them to our audience. Today, I'm proud to announce that one day to election, we are hosting a dear friends of the community, a person that we are proud that she's representing the Arab in this election. Let's welcome Mariam Manaa, the Ontario Liberal candidate for Burlington. Welcome, Mariam. Ahla wa sahlan.
Ahlan Fik, thank you so much for having me here today.
Mariam, before we start, I would like to tell you that the courage and what a lot of things you need to put your name in this election. I know it's not easy to run a campaign for a young lady, but we are proud of you. So thank you in behalf of all the community.
Thank you so much for that. That means a lot to me, and definitely it is really hard to put your name on the ballot. But this is a really important step for me as a young woman running here in Burlington, and to represent communities and have voices for young people and people from different communities. It's really important. We need diverse voices at Queen's Park, and it is going to be a hard path, but that's the path I want to take and ensure that I can lead the way for different members of all communities to make sure that they know how to get in and make sure that they can have their voices heard at Queen's Park as well.
Well, I hope we can visit you at Queen's Park, and we really, we have a lot of issues to ask you, but today we will ask you about your opinion. Tomorrow, inshallah, or the day after tomorrow, we will start putting these issues in front of you at the desk to solve them. So let's introduce Mariam to the audience. Who is Mariam? For how long you've been living here? Do you have a family here? More about your education, etc.
Yeah. So just to again introduce myself, my name is Mariam Manaa or Mariam Manaa. I immigrated to Canada when I was 8. My parents hoped for a better life. We did immigrate from Gaza all the way from there. And today I'm here to make sure we have stronger voices. It's really important that we have younger voices at the table. We have more women in politics, and we have people from different communities that are not represented in the community. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I want to make sure that I can raise my voice. I come from an urban planning education. I've worked in this community for a long time. I've served under an MP here in Burlington and Oval, North Burlington. I've definitely gained the political belt under me, and now it's time, I think, to put my voice forward to represent the community. And it's really important to know that representatives should be there for their communities, and that's what I want to do. It's not going to be about my opinion. It's going to be about the community that I represent in Burlington overall, the community that the communities that are not representative and they need a voice to hear. That's what I'm here to do. We have to change how politics. We need to change the status quo, and I hope that I can challenge that and hopefully change that if I'm elected tomorrow.
We wish you all the best, Mariam, inshallah. But I would like to know more about Burlington, the riding you're running in. So if you can tell me, is it multicultural? Do you have a diverse community there? Is there a specific things that this riding is suffering from, and would like to put your name and push for these problems to be solved from the Queen's Park?
Yeah, I mean, Burlington has been my hometown for 11 years now. So just part of my upbringing. That's why Burlington is an important community to me. Burlington is definitely growing in diversity, but the community here has been so supportive of everyone. First, when the Syrian refugees came in, everyone pitched in to make sure that churches came together, local mosque came together, everybody came together to make sure that they were there to support the community. Now, again, with the Afghan refugees, they did the same thing, and with the Ukrainian refugees, they did similar as well. This community is always ready to be there and support the people that need the most support, and that's what makes Burlington so beautiful. Burlington, like many other municipalities in Burlington, development, healthcare, education, transportation are all one of the major issues here. Affordability has been big for all Canadians, I believe, and especially across Ontario. And just like everyone else, Burlington has been hit hard in the pandemic, and we need to come out of the pandemic. We need to make sure that we're stronger and make sure that we invest in the things that matter, like not investing in highways that are unnecessary, that pave through farmland, and put that money into our education system or our healthcare system, and ensure that we're ready and prepared to make sure that every resident in Ontario gets the services that they deserve and need the most.
Now let's jump directly to main issues that Ontarians are facing, and would like to go tomorrow to cast their ballots to solve these problems. The first one is the healthcare. As you know, Mariam, we have a little bit hardship with the healthcare system, and we've known that for forever, but we never spoke about it. During the pandemic, it was obvious. We saw how hard it is for our system to handle this pandemic. So, what do you think the Liberal Party and you can do to solve this problem, or to go forward in a good direction? Because it will take a long time, and I believe the healthcare system is the most complicated. It's provincial, municipal, federal, private, and public. It's a little bit confusing. So tell me your opinion about it.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we keep healthcare public system, ensure that every resident in Ontario has an equal and equitable access to this system. We need to make sure that we make investments in the right places in healthcare as well, and make, for example, fairer wages for our WSP workers, for nurses, hiring more nurses, ensuring there's no more wait lines. So you don't have to, there's the backlog of surgeries. We want to clear that and ensure that people get the surgeries on time that they need, the medical attention that they need. In the pandemic, people would wait 2 to 3 weeks to see their doctors. We want to eliminate that wait line too, and make sure that people can access a healthcare professional within a shorter time frame to make sure that their healthcare needs are being paid attention to and cared for. And that's was always the essence of our healthcare system. We want to continue that spirit and ensure people have equitable access. That means making more investments in our healthcare system and ensuring that we pay more attention to how our nurses are being paid, to how our support workers are being paid, ensuring that there's more equitable access in hospitals that haven't been receiving fundings to get more beds, to ensure that we have more eyes.
I don't want to debate, but
Yeah.
As you know, that Canada is a country of immigration. So every year we're receiving around 500,000 newcomers to Canada. So do you think we have to increase our capacity, like building more hospitals, bringing more doctors, nurses, or just like putting a number? Because we have to be very clear of our path for the future. Like if we're bringing 1 million in 2 years, we need to be ready to host these millions for 2 years. I will go about housing later, but now about healthcare.
but that's why it's about putting the right investments now so that we don't have to play catch up later. And that's what I was talking about, the right investments in our hospitals. We also want to clear the lines for internationally trained nurses, so that we want to hire at least 100,000 new nurses, I believe, and ensure that that's there. And we're going to do that by ensuring that our new populations are part of that. And that's something that it's an essential part of the provincial government to make sure that we can do that and do a better job at doing that.
Great. So my next issue is about the future of this province, the future of this country, even the future of this world. Our kids. Our kids has suffered during the pandemic psychologically and educationally. Education system wasn't ready for something like pandemic. We were like between online, face to face, and we've seen how hard it was. Lack of doctor, substitute teachers, sorry, lack of teachers, substitute teachers. Uh, the system wasn't there for them. We failed them. So, do you think that you can do something to really put the education system back on the track for the most important part of the community, which is our kids, the future of this community?
Yeah, no, 100%. And we're going to do that by ensuring that we eliminate Highway 413 and invest that $10 billion into our education system. That means we can hire 10,000 new teachers, have smaller class sizes, ensure that we add an optional grade 13s for students that feel that they're not ready, eliminate standardized testing. These are going to be really important. Add at least 1,000 mental health support workers in schools, add a 5,000 special education teachers that will really, really help students with bridging the gaps. And that's what we need to focus on. Our education system has suffered. We've seen literacy rates drop. We've seen performance go lower. I just talked to a grade 5 class last week, and some students told me, grade 5, right? They said, hey, I didn't feel confident going into this year. These are grade 5 students and they feel that way. So we need to make sure that we provide all the supports that they need, so that our kids feel confident to go back to school every year and know that this year is going to be a great year for them. It's going to be a great opportunity of learning for them and not feel like they're falling behind. And that's something that's important. You're definitely right. It did impact our kids' psychology, but they're going to do better for it. We're going to make sure we do the right investments and ensure that they have the support that they need within their own schools so that they don't ever have to feel that way again.
It is important. It is important. Thank you. So now we'll jump to one of the questions I believe that you've heard from many of your people in the community during knocking the doors: affordability. It's become a topic not only in Canada but everywhere around the world. Prices jump, shipping. It's very hard now, so we have less materials. So pricing of everything almost doubling: gas, housing, etc. So, do you think you can handle the post-pandemic uh, crisis? I would say with affordability,
Yeah.
if you became in the government.
Yeah, so our leader and I was standing alongside him when we made an affordability pledge to the whole province, ensuring that when we look at affordability, we look at it in a holistic way. So we wanted to take off the HST portion of prepared food. So meaning if you go and pick up a salad and rotisserie chicken from a grocery store, you're not going to pay the provincial HST tax. We want to ensure that we want to have $1 transit for every single person in Ontario, whether you get on the GO train, the GO bus, the municipal buses, intercity buses, TTC in Toronto, whatever is used, if it's under provincial jurisdiction, we want to make sure that we lower that cost to $1. And that will be significant for all residents in Ontario. We want to make sure that we also add affordability by having increasing the minimum wage. We want to build also new homes and make sure that the supply is there. Rent control will be really essential, and these will make a huge impact in how people live and choose to live, right? People cannot live day to day anymore. We have to make sure that they have a living wage, and that's why by increasing the minimum wage to $16, we want to work with everyone to increase that to a living wage, so that there's no burdens on any member of our society, whether small businesses or small organizations, to people who need to make sure that they're making a living wage. It's no longer affordable to have that, and that's why the affordability pledge, which has 19 points, it's really, really important that is all encompassing, so that in every part of our life there's an affordability piece provided by our government to the people of Ontario, including adding more options, right? Gas prices are going up, meaning we have alternatives available like electric car rebates. There'll be an up to $9,500 on that, and that'll be really important for young people, for those in the working class right now. That's a huge incentive. We were also adding an incentive on chargers for those electric vehicles, so that there's not an added burden. And also something that I was really proud to work on, along with my colleague Katie Gibbs in Ottawa, we added e-bikes, an incentive of that as well, which is something that hasn't been really introduced before. So it's going to be a really important piece that we look at affordability all encompassing. We want to do also raise OW rates. We want to raise ODSP rates, so that our most vulnerable are doing well, but also that all of their life, in every aspect of what could cost them, is lowered, so that they can start to save. They're able to actually not have to make choices between their medication, their food, or their shelter. They can have all those options available to them without feeling like it's going to be a heavy toll on them financially.
Can you elaborate a little bit about on housing, because it's very, very, very important topic.
Yeah, so housing, we know that housing is one of the most major issues. I am, as a young person living here in Burlington, I can't afford to buy a house in the city that I grew up in. It's too expensive. My rent is also too high. I live in a 600 feet apartment, so I think that could should tell you how young people here in Burlington or across Ontario are struggling to find shelter that is adequate for them. And most people want to be able to buy at a point of their life, or be able to live in a comfortable home, and that's why we want to increase the supply. We want to ensure that there's no empty homes left as well, so we'll be taxing that. We will not we do want to ban non residents from purchasing into the market, because that's going to be a huge thing for us here in Burlington or across Ontario. We also are going to add a use it or lose it tax on land that is left not being developed or repurposed. We want to look at brownfields, which are essentially areas that are already developed but have no use, like strip malls that just haven't really been used that well, or just have been left kind of empty without proper development or proper renovations to them. We want to reuse those and make sure we build like triplexes and duplexes, so that there's more affordable options available. And with proper planning, we can definitely have the supply that we need to meet the needs that we have here, and ensure that we prioritize the residents of Ontario who need the housing the most, and ensure that those that don't live in Ontario are not competing in the market that we're residents of Ontario that are working so hard to make sure that they live in their home here.
So I think urban planning is your major, so that's why you are deep in this. That's good. That's important, and we need people who understand how to truly plan our cities and future to make them more affordable, easy to access, and very important, ecologically and environmental clean, so that we can keep this land for our new generations better and better. So next question is job and economy. As we know, not only Canada, not only Ontario, but almost everywhere in the world, they suffered from lack of suffering economy in generally, and lack of jobs. Now we have demand on jobs, However, we don't have enough workers in some cases. In other cases, we have a lot and we don't have the jobs. So, how we can handle this issue?
Yeah, that's a really important question, and I think there's two factors. One, jobs availability, but at the same time, a lot of you're speaking to the chamber here in Burlington, and speaking to a lot of small businesses. Many of them are having you know are having shortages in finding labor. So we need to support small businesses. We are looking to introduce a 4-day work week. We want to make sure that we have 10 paid sick days available for workers so that they don't feel that burden. Something that's really important, and Doug Ford's government should have worked on this earlier, which is adding 10-day childcare. We've heard over and over again from different chambers, from different businesses, that actually could have impacted them in a very good way, so that people don't have to choose between childcare and going to work because of how expensive it is. And we promised that we would give pay back retroactively for that 1 year that parents were left out, that Ontarians didn't get that deal, to make sure that they get that money back and that they're able to invest it in their futures, or however they can, because it's really expensive and it's a toll. It's almost like a mortgage payment, right? And we need to ensure that in every plan that we have, it's holistic, it's all encompassing. And when we talk about jobs and labor market, we need to look at it in different aspects, and look at also affordability, which is going to be huge. Do you live close enough to where you can potentially work? Is it affordable for you to be there? Is your rent going to be worth it? Can you get from home to work in an efficient manner? A lot of people right now, if you are from Burlington and you work in Toronto, it's going to cost you $20 a day. That's a lot of money just to get from there. And if you're driving, it's going to be even more, because you're going to pay for parking, you're going to pay for gas, and that's going to be even more money. So affordability is key here, to ensure that we fulfill our labor shortages and make sure that we support our small businesses and support our people by making it more affordable for them to work, live, and play in the areas they choose to call home here in Ontario.
Uh, Thank you. Hate crimes. Hate crimes are the cancer of any community, and we've seen this happening here in Canada and in Ontario specifically. Uh, we were shocked all by what happened in London, Ontario last year, and I think it's a lesson that we have to understand, that we have to all to stand and fight hate in all forms: anti-black, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-indigenous. Any hate in this community is not accepted. So, as a Muslim hijabi woman, how are you gonna fight hate crimes in Queens Park?
Thank you. It's really, first of all, I'm going to talk about the London family, and I think how tragic that happened, and our party and our leader did commit to introducing the Our Family London Act immediately as soon as we're elected, to make sure that that's taken priority, to send a message that we do not tolerate any hate or discrimination of any kind. But like I said, on a lot of the issues that we discussed today, we need to look at the root causes. We need to also look at encompassing ways to make sure that we take care of that. So what I would say on that, we need to make sure that we can talk, work with our authorities to make sure how they handle situations, ensure that we have better education, ensure that we act on when these issues occur, and hopefully that they do not happen again to any family, to any community, that's of a minority, to any people that have felt the increased racism, discrimination that have occurred, I think, in the past couple of years here in Ontario, and I think across the world as well. And I think it's really important that we very holistic in the way we approach things, and we need to make sure that we look at where these causes are coming from, where the misinformation is coming from, and ensure that we work with all people to send a clear message that Canada and Ontario, we don't tolerate hate of any kind or any form, and ensure that we're here to support each other and tackle the bigger issues that we're all facing as people here in Ontario.
Great. Mariam, if you are going to win tomorrow and you will be a member of provincial parliament, what do you think your bill that you will propose for the parliament to be adopted?
Thank you for
I know
that.
it's an early question,
It
but
is an it is an early question, but what I will say to you is my number one job is to represent the people of Burlington, and the community and those that reach out for me to represent them. So my job is to voice them and bring their issues forward to the legislative. That's what my job would be, and I want to make sure that I'm actually there for the people, and voice them. Um, and that's the only way, I think, the best way to represent people, be there with them, work alongside them, and make sure that they actually have a voice and a representative that's going to work hard for them to represent them at Queen's Park.
I know that you will. So before I would jump to my last question, I would like to remind everybody that the voting is happening tomorrow. So I urge everybody, and everybody need to urge every friend and family member to go and vote. This is the most important moment in your life that you can make a change in the future of your children. You can make a change in your life. Without that, don't blame anybody that there is no change because you did not change. You did not go to vote. So it is important tomorrow to go and vote. Put your name on this ballot. Understand that the way to make your voice heard is by putting your name tomorrow and standing. It will take maybe 10, 15 minutes, but it will determine the future of at least 4 years of this province. I know Mariam and every single candidate worked very hard during the campaign to ensure that they heard us, to ensure that they knew us, to ensure that they worked hard to put their names and to know people around them. But I will ensure you that after the election, we have to ask them more questions. We have to challenge them. So Mariam and every single candidate are ready for tomorrow. I know it's a lot of work still from today till tomorrow, but I hope that you can, as a member of this community, go and vote. So Mariam still need your help. You can, if you live in the area, you can call and volunteer tomorrow. At least maybe calling people, driving people in need to voting station. So the job is not done. The day after tomorrow, we will celebrate with Mariam, inshallah.
I really appreciate it. And, there's no better way to know a campaign or how politics works than getting involved. So definitely reach out. You can reach me at mariam@mariammana.ca. It's really easy. Email, so please feel free to reach out to us. There's so much to do and so much work to be done, but this is going to be really important. And I encourage everyone to participate. It's the best way, whether you're 10 years old or you're 80 years old and you're retired and you're looking for something. Definitely get involved. This is really important. All our volunteers here come from every walk of life you could see, every age group you can imagine, and every participate because they believe in the Liberal Party or they believe in me, which warms my heart. But don't be shy. Please reach out to us. We'd love to see you come out and get to learn more about politics and our campaign and get your voice heard too.
So my last question: what is your message specifically for, generally for Ontarians, specifically for those in your riding? How you encourage them to elect you tomorrow?
I'm, what I tell people at the doors every single day is that we need a representative in Burlington that's actually going to be there to serve the people of Burlington, that's actually struggling through the times and understands what it's like to face affordability issues, what it's like to have to struggle to be able to get to where they need to go. I come from a very hardworking family, educated, worked hard all the time, but our age group is having a hard time reaching to what our parents have reached. when they were our age. So what I say to people is, you know, a representative that understands your issues, a representative that's going to work hard for you, that understands how to serve you. And I'm that candidate. Of all the candidates that I'm going up against, I'm there to do one thing, and it's to serve the people of Burlington with equity and make sure that they have a voice at Queen's Park. And I hope that I can you can have that faith in me and make sure that you vote Liberal on June 2nd tomorrow. And I hope that, you know, we can move for a brighter future tomorrow and make sure we have better representatives at Queen's Park that are there to serve the people first.
Mariam, I would like to wish you all the best tomorrow and in the future. It's encouraging all youth from our community to be involved in politics, to do some changes from inside to outside. So thank you for everything you've done during the past weeks, during the campaign. Wish you all the best. And inshallah, we'll celebrate together day after tomorrow.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate your time, and I'm excited for tomorrow and looking to turn Burlington red.
So my last word, go tomorrow and vote. See you tomorrow, guys, at the voting station. Bye-bye.
Bye.